Hey everyone, yeah, I got about 2 hours, 47 minutes before I have to leave for work today. So, figured I might as well get this out of the way, give you my thoughts on Elimination Chamber this Sunday. Now, first of all, before anybody says anything, let me explain something about Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber is not an actual pay-per-view. It's not on any of the pay-per-view channels. I've went through the guides and everything, and nothing for the upcoming Sunday says WWE. Basically, what Elimination Chamber is a network exclusive, as they've been advertising, and it's basically, I'm assuming, their main roster answer to the NXT Takeover specials. That's what they are. They're basically the main roster answer to the NXT Takeover specials. I'm assuming this is going to be probably about a 2.5, maybe just around 3 hour show. It might be 3 hours. I don't really know. Excuse me. But with the way the match structure is, you have 6 matches, 2 of them chamber matches. I would assume that it's going to be about 2.5, maybe just around 2.5 hours. I would assume maybe around that. I'm not saying it's going to be 2 hours. I would say maybe 2.5, maybe 3 hours at most. It might be longer because as Jeff points out, they don't have the, or not Jeff, but some people have. Well, yeah, Jeff points this out. They don't have the time restraints on the network that they would with pay-per-view. That's the entire thing. But even with pay-per-view, they don't really have time restraints. But still. Well, not really. But, like Jeff said, they don't have that many time restraints. But when I look at Elimination Chamber, I look at something similar to what Tuesday in Texas was. You see, Tuesday in Texas, as far as I know, was just a 2 hour, maybe a little over 2 hour last minute pay-per-view that they tried to test out. And it had basically the same amount of matches, maybe one match or more so, but basically the same amount of matches that we're getting at Chamber. So that's why when I look at Elimination Chamber, I look at something that could be around 2.5 hours, maybe just under 3, like an average pay-per-view. But I would look at something like, say, a little under 2 hours. Well, not under 2 hours, but a little under 2.5 hours, around 2.5 hours at most. And the reason I say that is when you take a look at the 6 matches that are signed, that are booked for this show, some of them are going to get time. There's no doubt about it. But you would have to assume some of them are going to be quick matches as well. There's just going to be something that goes maybe for a few minutes, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then that's it. And I know some people might say, well, that's the Divas match in a nutshell. And that might be true too, but I look at other matches and I think they're just going to get a couple minutes and then something's going to happen and off to the races we go. And when I look at the Elimination Chamber event overall, I also look at the pre-show. They have Daniel Bryan appearing. They also have Daniel Bryan appearing the next night on Raw. And from what I can assume, it's not just to plug his documentary or his possible book or his book coming out, but I'm also thinking they got something planned for him as well because they know he's the hottest thing, one of the hottest commodities they have right now, so they have to find a way to utilize him. So I wouldn't be surprised if something big happens coming into at Elimination Chamber, if not on the following night on Raw, involving Daniel Bryan. I would assume it's going to have to do something with the Authority, and maybe, I'm assuming, in my opinion, they might be putting him in a general manager role that can counter the Authority's decisions. Like, I think if that's what they think they might be doing, I'm not saying they will, but if they do that, it would be more along the lines of Daniel Bryan, like not just countering what the Authority says, but maybe letting the Authority know that, oh, by the way, the board of directors want me to let you guys know that whatever decisions you come up with, you got to finalize with me, and if I don't like them, we're going to go in a different direction. So yeah, basically a counter, but we'll see what happens. It could just be to update us on what's happening with him, and maybe he'll be back sooner, maybe he won't be. We don't know. But it's also, I think, to help plug his documentary and his book. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But that does draw you in with him being on Miss TV and seeing what happens there. And then you get to the actual event itself. Now, I know a lot of people like Jeff are used to calling this a pay-per-view, and that's okay, that's fine, go ahead and call it a pay-per-view, because it seems like it. I mean, you are paying for it in a sense. You're paying $9.99 for it in a sense, so it's kind of like you're paying for it, but if you're getting the month for free like I am, because I've renewed my subscription, which is kind of weird, you're getting, it's not a pay-per-view, it's not a PPV, it's an FPV, it's a free review, a free per view, if you will, or a free view, whatever you want to call it. So, anyway, when I look at Elimination Chamber, though, you got 6 matches here. You possibly have 7 coming, but I think it's mostly 6. Jeff, like I said, pointed out, and I'm sure other people point out, that they're going to have plenty of time to really probably shine a little bit with certain matches, which is why, like I said, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that Tuesday in Texas feel, because you're going to give certain matches the length of time they deserve, kind of like what we see with NXT TakeOver, but you're also going to restrain it to where it works within 2.5 to 2 hours to 2.5 hour time range. So that it's not just coming off as a pay-per-view that could have been on pay-per-view and you could have charged, $59.99 or $69.99, whatever, that, it comes off as being something that you'll only see on the network. That it's something that, yeah, it's like a pay-per-view, but it's only something you'll see on the network once in a while. So, like I said, looking at the event itself and the matches, Neville and Bo Dallas, they've proven to have some phenomenal matches when they were in NXT. The only reason I think they're sending Bo Dallas at Neville right now, I haven't really paid much attention, I try to, is I think they're trying to, first of all, they're trying to find something for Bo to do. They're trying, because you got to remember, when they brought Bo Dallas up, they were behind this guy. They had a lot of enthusiasm behind this guy. They wanted to get behind him. So I'm guessing they're trying to figure something out for him. And one of the things they're figuring out is why not reignite his feud and rivalry with Neville that he had on NXT. And, they can pretty much steal the show and all that. So there's the positive about this matchup. Again, I think it's to help elevate Neville as well, because pretty much the record books show, the historical books show that Neville has always beaten Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas has never beaten him. Excuse me there. So they're playing on that. I don't know if they have acknowledged it or not, but they are playing upon that there is history, there is a rivalry, and that, maybe this is storyline-wise, this is Bo Dallas's way of trying to get redemption. Maybe he's trying to get back at Neville for not only costing him his NXT title, taking the NXT title from him, but I think it's also storyline-wise Bo Dallas trying to get back at Neville for banishing him from NXT, and that now Bo Dallas, maybe storyline-wise, wants to banish Neville from the WWE main roster so that history doesn't repeat itself. I'm assuming that might be part of the reasons they're playing upon it. It's the history in NXT and the fact that, Bo Dallas has never beaten Neville, and Neville's responsible for Bo Dallas leaving NXT. I think that might be some of the reasons as well. But do I see a show stealer here? Oh yeah, I did. Well, I would say one of the show stealers. I'd say a good opener. This is the way I look at it. I look at this as being the opening match. I hate to say that, but I do. I see it as the opening match. And I do see Neville going over in this match. I really do. Now, if they're trying to use this program with Neville to rebuild Bo Dallas and have him finally push him like they wanted to, kind of get him at that same upper mid card tier that they have Neville at, then yeah, I would assume they're going to have Bo Dallas go over, so that at least they can have more top upper mid card guys going after things like the Intercontinental and the U.S. titles, and maybe a potential shot at the WWE World title here and there. So if that's if that's the plan for Bo Dallas now, then yeah, I would see Bo Dallas going over here. But I think if you want to open the show up and you want to open it up on a positive note, you open it up with this match and you open it up with Neville going over, and basically storyline and character-wise, have Bo Dallas still get frustrated at the fact that even with a bum leg, even with having a bum leg, Neville was still able to beat him. So I definitely look at that as the opening match, and again, I look at Neville going over. But if they're planning to get Bo Dallas back to the upper, get Bo Dallas finally up to that upper mid card level, then I expect Bo Dallas. But I'm thinking Neville. I'm going with Neville on this one. The first match now, as far as the chamber matches go, I think the first match, I definitely have to go with what Jeff said on here. It's going to be the tag title match, and it's going to be the second. It's going to be the second match of the night. That's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at the tag team elimination chamber match as being the second match of the night, and as far as I know, you've got Los Matadores, the Lucha Dragons, the Ascension. Okay, let me hold on. You got Los Matadores, Lucha Dragons, the Ascension, the Primetime Players, Kid and Cesaro, and of course the tag champions New Day. Now, there's been speculation going around that the Primetime Players might be entering into a feud with the New Age Outlaws. Yeah, there's speculation going on that might be what they're doing with the Primetime Players. So I would expect either the Outlaws are going to insert themselves into this match by either taking out Los Matadores or the Ascension or whoever, one of the teams, and inserting themselves in it so that they could try to get back at the Primetime Players. Or I see the Outlaws coming out during the match, and just when it looks like the Primetime players might be on a roll, it might be on the verge of becoming the champions, I see the Outlaws costing them the match, and off to the races you go with that feud, with that program. And I think that would help the Primetime Players because that would help elevate them because they are getting over with the crowd. There is no doubt. You can see that. As far as the match itself goes, I think it's going to be a show stealer. It is. And that would be kind of ironic for WWE to have two back-to-back show stealing matches to start off the show. But I definitely see it as a show stealer because you've got all these tag teams with a different variety of styles, the uniqueness, if you will. You got a variety of styles. You got with the Lucha Dragons, you get that Lucha Libre, high flying style that basically when you have Sin Cara, formerly Hunico, doing what he's doing now, and then you got Calistro, who's being pushed by WWE and by many people as the next Rey Mysterio, doing what they're doing. It's like, wow, what? It's like, what can you expect? What can you expect these guys to do in the confines of a chamber? I mean, WWE on their Facebook pages have been showing highlights from some of the chambers. Can you imagine Calistro or Sin Cara pulling off some kind of crazy maneuver from the top of the dome? It could happen. It could happen. And the same with Tyson Kidd. I mean, that guy's got a repertoire that really stands out. And then you got Cesaro and his unique style. You know, you've got the New Day, their unique style. You know, it's all there. I mean, just perfect ingredients for a great match. And even the Ascension, despite how you feel about them, have a unique style of their own. So, to me, I look at this as like being, like I say, being another show-stealing match, which to me would be kind of a surprise for WWE to have two back-to-back show-stealing matches to start the show off with. But as far, like I said, but as far as the match goes itself, it's kind of up in the air. I mean, I know WWE is really behind New Day, especially with them being those kind of, being the Kurt Angle like heels, if you will. Maybe not, but kind of being those heels that are like, hey, we're positive, we're this and that. And you know, like when Kurt Angle first came in, he tried to be a babyface that was basically a babyface heel. He was a heel that tried to pass himself off as a babyface. So that's what I look at New Day as. I look at New Day as being the same thing. Especially, well, after this past Monday on Raw, I don't really know, but that's how I look at New Day. But again, as far as the match goes itself, I kind of look at, you know, WWE, like I said, they're behind New Day, they're behind what they're doing. But I also look at the fact that they're behind the Lucha Dragons, and they can tell the fans are reacting to them, and the fans are reacting to primetime players. The fans are getting behind Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. The Ascension, you know, that's the wild card. So where do I see this going? Well, if I'm WWE and I want to have my top heel, and I want to basically make this match the match that redefines the tag team division and says the tag team division is back and at full force, then if I'm WWE, I keep my top heel tag team as the champions. I keep the New Day as the champions. I do that. And like I said, I think I would put it to a scenario where you have it could come down to primetime players in New Day and you have the Outlaws come out and cost them the match. That's one of the scenarios. So I would definitely go with that if you want to keep the New Day heat going, you know, coming and everything. So that's one way I think they should go, because I think if New Day loses the belts, they need to lose it on an actual pay-per-view, not just a network exclusive. As far as other directions it could go, I would have to say the other two options, to me, you could put it back on Kidd and Cesaro, and that would be great, because fans are behind them. But I think, if anything, if you want to really surprise people, switch things up, if you will, I would either go with the Ascension or the Lucha Dragons. And here's why. The Lucha Dragons, like I said, people are getting behind them. WWE is pushing Calistro, so you want to basically get it behind them as much as you can. So I think one of the ways they could do, in much of a sort of an upset, like, oh, I didn't see that coming kind of surprise deal, go with the Lucha Dragons and let them do what they got to do against the New Day. And I think that would be great. On the other hand, though, if you really want to surprise people and shock people and kind of be like, hey, you didn't see this coming, I would go with the Ascension. Because in that way you could really kind of not only reassert this team as being the dominant team they say they are, but now you can have them holding the gold and saying, hey, we are the greatest tag team of the modern era. We are better than all these other tag teams. You can still have them play up on what they are now, but with the gold, it takes it to another level. So, to me, those would be your two surprise booking decisions they could go with. You know, like I say, from a popularity standpoint and a fan backing standpoint, you got to go with